Trudy Mason sitting in for Elias, and I'll be back in this chair as well next week. Right now, we're going to talk about Montreal's nightlife. We have a vibrant nightlife in the city. We have probably a spectacular nightlife if you want to compare it to Ottawa's nightlife, where they actually have now a bureaucrat who has been dubbed the nightlife mayor. The question is why Montreal doesn't have one of these. And to get the answer, we're going to talk to Brendan Kelly. He has written on this issue in his column in the Montreal Gazette. Brendan, welcome to CJAD.
Morning, Trudy. How are you doing?
Morning. Very well, thanks. So background us a little bit. The Plante administration has promised for years to make nightlife a priority. In the industry, from what you've been hearing, is anyone happy with what has been done so far?
Mostly not, honestly. I mean, in the 2017 campaign for Mayor, Valérie Plante promised that, they would come up with a plan for nightlife where they would go forward with that, and it still hasn't come. It is coming, apparently. The city people telling me, people in her office, that they will be bringing this to City Council probably in the next month or so. But we still haven't seen the actual policy and what it's going to be. And the reality is, and you're absolutely right, and make no mistake, as we're talking, comparing Ottawa and Montreal, we have the nightlife. There's no question about it. The line about Ottawa being the city that fun has forgot. We've got great nightlife, and it's totally booming, but there are problems. And, has this administration been that sympathetic to the players in the nightlife milieu? From what I understand, not really. And there remain big issues that haven't been solved. I mean, one of the most obvious ones and one of the most serious ones is the whole issue of noise complaints. I mean, I was writing about that 10 years ago when they closed down the Divan Orange, which was a fantastic little live music venue in the Plateau, because there was a woman living upstairs who would call the cops every night. And she moved in after the club already existed, and that's the crux of the problem is, these venues have to be able to, within reason, have live music, and that's the backbone of the music scene here. We have this amazing music scene that sprang up in the early 2000s with Arcade Fire and all those bands, and they all start in little clubs. They don't start at M. Telus. They don't start at the Bell Centre, and so we really do need that kind of support. So I think there is a problem. There's a booming nightlife, but there's also issues in the scene, in the cultural scene. Just for Laughs just went belly up. What was that all about? We still don't really know. So, it's not like you can just assume everything is fine.
What do you think a nightlife mayor or a bureaucrat with whatever title they give that person, what could that person do aside from put out fires? Because it seems to me that we just lurch from one story about a problem to another story about a problem. What else could a nightlife mayor do? Do you think?
But I think that's you put your finger right on it, Trudy. Is that what they would do ideally? In my view, I mean, I don't know what the city thinks, but is you come up with a policy and a plan, and then you follow it. But you really have a point person in the city administration who is the go-to man or woman to say, here's what we're doing with nightlife. And I think and you're making it a priority. And clearly the Plante administration has not made it a priority. And the reality is, look at Montreal. What are we famous for? We are not Silicon Valley. We're not a big industrial heartland. The center of Canada financially is Toronto. What we have is culture and nightlife. And it's not a minor thing. I talked to a guy from this lobby group, MTL 2424, Martin Chartrand, who's running it now. And he was saying nightlife is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And smart places like Paris and Berlin and London, England, they have nightlife mayors, and they make it a priority. And it could be big business, and it could be, I mean, it really kind of already is, but to me, the city should make that number one priority. Is this is the cultural nightlife center of Canada. Look at all the American tourists. Look at this. Anyone's seen it since COVID when the tourists came back. The city is crawling with American tourists. It's fantastic. These people bring money into the system. People come from all over the world. Go to Mile End and walk up to Cafe Olympico. And I mean, I'm not even kidding. I've literally seen this myself. I've seen tourists from Japan walk in there with their guidebooks because they've heard about Olympico because Arcade Fire and the Deers used to hang out there. Like, it's an incredible selling point. How many people come for the Jazz Festival? So it's to make it a priority and deal with like intrinsic, like not never-ending issues like that noise complaint thing. This has to be resolved. It's not a minor thing. And to support, and I think that's one of the problems is, you know, governments always support the big guys. You know, they support the Jazz Festival, they support the Plasta Festival, and of course that's great. But like I said, the backbone of the cultural industry here is those small venues that are doing interesting things. You know, it's the Fringe Festival, it's Casa del Popolo on Saint Laurent Boulevard. So you have to have someone who can, you know, have the ear of the mayor and of the senior people. And I just, every time I talk to Projet Montreal people, I don't get the impression they have any idea of what's happening in this dossier. And it really could be worth a lot of money. It is big business. Look at the circus world. We're the circus capital of the world. That's because of the Cirque du Soleil, but there's lots of other circuses. Encourage this kind of thing, and it could be a big part of Montreal life, but also of the Montreal economy. So it's really to have someone in there full-time working on that.
Is it your theory then that it's just sheer ignorance about the potential that's keeping the Plante administration from acting more quickly?
I don't know what it is, honestly, Trudy. It's a bit, I find it a little bit perplexing, honestly, because look at Projet Montreal. It's the kind of leftist, Plateau, Rosemont, Villeray party, right? That's their roots. And you would think culture would be what they would be all about, you know, that would be a natural because, you know, in the Plateau, like culture is hugely important. This is where not all the culture, but this is where a lot of the culture happens in the clubs and the music clubs and all of that and the theaters. So why it is not a priority for them, but it really hasn't ever been. It always seems to me that they're much more prioritized about, you know, pro bicycles, you know, slowing down traffic and all of those things, which is all fine. But why they left culture to the sidelines, I'm really not sure. But I know it's, you know, this is what I write about regularly. And when I talk to the administration, I really often find, you know, another was not the same issue of nightlife, but, you know, is Hollywood movie shoots. I hear from producers often that there's so much red tape when they come to Montreal. And I talk to people in the administration, they have no idea there's even a problem. You know, so they're just not paying attention. Hopefully, look, on the upside, hopefully this new policy sorts it all out and they do. What I hear is they're not going to appoint a nightlife mayor for whatever reason, but they're going to have someone in charge of that dossier. So look, if they get someone good and they do a good job, I mean, that would be tremendously positive. But like anything, you know, you got to wait and see till it actually happens because it hasn't happened yet. And you still have little clubs like Turbo House with people turning up on their doorstep from the city saying, oh, you're making too much noise, and because they built a condo tower right beside them. I mean, that issue alone of noise complaints has been there for 10 years. It's a major, major problem for the live cultural scene here, and the city has done nothing about it. So it clearly hasn't been a priority. But why that is, I'm surprised actually that that's the case.
Brendan, great talking to you. Thanks for joining us on CJAD.
Same here. Thank you.
All right, Brendan Kelly, columnist with the Montreal Gazette.